The reality is that MJF is one of the biggest stars in the pro wrestling industry that is not signed to WWE. And the fact is, MJF essentially did it all on his own. It wasn't based on booking that captured everybody's attention. It was MJF, the character. Now, I feel like there is actually a lot of similarities to another individual that never jumped ship to WWE until he did, and that was Sting. Sting always had a great character in WCW. Regardless of how you felt about his booking, a lot of people became really attracted to Sting based on him, the person himself. And then when Sting jumped ship to WWE, Sting came a little bit too late. And obviously we saw it resulted in poor booking. A lot of people didn't like the way he was presented in WWE. He had a couple cool moments, but ultimately when it really came down to is WWE didn't do anything with Sting like how we see him currently in AEW. And I feel like that's where a lot of the credit should go to AEW and how they utilize Sting since jumping into the company. Now, the reason why I make this comparison between MJF and Sting is because MJF kind of did the same thing. He went into AEW. Prior to that, he was in MLW, and there was a lot of people talking about MJF simply because of his character work and simply because of the way that he presented himself on television. Some people can argue that his booking hasn't necessarily matched the level of his character, but I would like to argue that AEW has done a really good job of positioning MJF as a top guy. And that actually right there, spoiler alert, that right there is probably why he will sign with WWE, because what it's going to come down to is money. Now, there's another comparison I'd like to make, but it is a little bit different, and that's Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes left the WWE, went to the independents. He became the American Nightmare. We saw him in Bullet Club. We saw him do all these different things. But when he came to AEW, he basically showed the world why he could be the next John Cena. The way he carries himself in a suit, the way he carries himself with his entrance and everything like that, with the theme song, it just seemed like Cody Rhodes had the total package. Now, I would actually like to argue that Cody Rhodes' booking in AEW really wasn't that good. And, well, it was their loss and WWE's gain, because if you look at WWE brought in Cody Rhodes, and that was basically a middle finger to absolutely every single individual on Twitter, YouTube, and the IWC that basically said Cody Rhodes would be buried. Because if you know what the term buried means, then you know WWE absolutely didn't bury Cody Rhodes. And if you feel like maybe you have forgotten the narrative that was spun on social media at the time of Cody leaving AEW for WWE, the number one thing that people were talking about was whether or not Cody Rhodes would have the same character. WWE will bury him. They will change everything about him. They are going to put him in the mid card. They're going to put him in the lower card. He is going to be fed to Bray Wyatt and on all of these other people. Cody Rhodes is essentially going to go to WWE and be buried. They're going to change everything about Cody Rhodes. And then it just turns out that Cody Rhodes literally looks like the biggest superstar in the WWE next to Roman Reigns. So where are the similarities to MJF? Well, guys, MJF has the character down. Now, you got to remember something. When you have that larger-than-life character where people have become enamored by the character, WWE is all about characters. WWE wants those larger-than-life characters on their television program, and they want them on weekly television, because if you've looked at Roman Reigns, if you've looked at Cody Rhodes, if you've seen Dominic Mysterio in the Judgment Day, and all of these other things that are happening on WWE television, the common denominator is that they all have a very strong character, and that is what is generating great reactions from the fans in attendance and at home. So why would MJF go to WWE? And really, it comes down to one thing, and that is money. Now, I can't speak for MJF, right? I think MJF is a hell of a talent, and I don't think his booking has been perfect in AEW, but at the end of the day, I think MJF, because of the way he works and the way he is as a person in and out of the ring, I enjoy watching MJF on AEW television. So if I'm the WWE, you got this merger going with Endeavor. You got Cody, you got Roman, you got a lot of big names in your company. You need to show the world exactly what you showed the world with Cody Rhodes, in the sense of you can become a big star outside of WWE, and we will bring you into the company, and we are going to pay you very handsomely to bring you in our show, and we are going to position you as a top guy immediately. And with that, we are doing it with the intention of showing everybody that WWE is the destination to be. And this is exactly why I think MJF will eventually end up signing with WWE when the time is right. Now, look, we don't really know when MJF is actually a free agent, right? We know in storyline and on television, the whole conversation has been about MJF being on, leaving AEW in 2024, bringing his world championship to WWE, stuff like that. Whether there's truth or any merit to that, I genuinely don't know. And I think a lot of people on social media and a lot of content creators are pretending to know that is the actual case. I don't think MJF, because it's so integrally integrated into his character, I don't think they will ever tell us whether or not he actually signed an extension with the company or anything like that. Maybe they would, but I just don't believe that would be the case, because I think a lot of the intrigue about MJF is the fact that he blurs the lines. But if you're WWE, you got this deal with Endeavor. And look, let's just be frank, right? There are going to be top stars leaving WWE for AEW. We've seen it. We've seen guys go from WWE to AEW. It's not nothing new, right? It is definitely okay to expect AEW people to go to WWE at some point. But who is the one that WWE really should have their sights on? I think that's the big question, because when you really think about it and genuinely think about this, Ricky Starks is great. Darby Allin is great. Jungle Boy is great. There's a lot of great talent in AEW. Don't ever forget that. But if you're looking at who is the guy in AEW, it is MJF. And if you're the WWE, what kind of message would you be sending to your competition and to the wrestling audience when you sign the biggest name in wrestling that is not signed to your company, and you allow him to have that freedom? Now, if you told me years ago that this could be a potential possibility, I would tell you no. And the reason why I would tell you no is because WWE has always been so focused on creating their stars, developing their talent, and giving people a chance to grow within their system. But I think WWE has realized really what it comes down to is, one, you got to create compelling television. If you look at WWE's business metrics right now, all the analytics are going up. Lot of interest. Attendance is absolutely insane. And WWE has realized, yes, the formula is to create stars. We know this. But if WWE can continue to develop great, compelling television, they should have no limitations as far as who they bring into their company and on their show. Remember, people really thought Cody Rhodes would be buried. People will have the narrative that MJF will have his name changed. He's going to be limited as to what he can say and what he can do. And I do think there will be some limitations as to what he could say in his promos, because realistically, it is MJF, and we've heard him say some crazy stuff. Now, I do believe, and maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but this is why we're having this conversation. I do believe that money at the end of the day can persuade anybody. And if you're WWE and you make a massive, giant offer for MJF to jump ship when the time is right, I do believe that MJF could very well be on his way to the company. I think if you allow him to have a little bit of freedom naturally, obviously we're starting to see in WWE that not everybody is heavily scripted. I don't think MJF should be heavily scripted. That's part of what makes him unique, right? Obviously, you don't want him dropping F-bombs on television, but I think if WWE were to bring in MJF, give him a little bit of freedom, let him keep his character, I think this guy would be a rock star in WWE. And look, here's the thing. I have to point this out again because it's so important. There are going to be big top names in WWE who eventually will go to AEW. There is nothing wrong with this. This is why it is so important to have multiple wrestling companies out there and thriving, because if somebody can leave, go get the bag, do something different creatively, wrestle different styles, whatever it may be, if that is what's best for the person in question, then they should be able to do that. And without AEW, that wasn't an opportunity. This is not about what company you think is better than the other. This comes down to what company can truly offer the bag, and I think WWE can do it. And I think if WWE were to say, look, we're going to give you the bag, we're going to let you come in, you're going to have a little bit of freedom, we'll work with you closely on the creative direction of your character, I just think it happens. Whether that's 2024, 2025, 2026, 2020, I don't know, because we don't know when MJF is actually a free agent, but I love it. I love the idea of MJF in WWE. I think it can make a lot of sense, and I think WWE would be sending a very big message. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section down below. Peace.